Hey there, my fellow Cancers. For your 2026 horoscope, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to set aside the planets and stars for a moment and instead look at your year through the lens of some ancient Eastern wisdom. We're about to dive into a timeless Zen story that, I promise you, holds a surprisingly powerful key to your happiness in the year ahead. So let's just jump right in. I have a question for you, and I really want you to think about it. As you look toward 2026, what's the heaviest thing you think you're going to carry? And no, I'm not talking about your groceries or your rent or that heavy laptop you lug around everywhere. It's something much, much heavier than any of that. The heaviest thing you're going to carry is a ghost. Now hold on, not a spooky one. I'm talking about a ghost from your past. And believe it or not, a 500-year-old story from Japan perfectly explains why this ghost is going to be your biggest challenge, but also your greatest opportunity in 2026. It all comes down to this simple but incredibly profound story. Some people call it the Muddy River. Let's get right into it. Okay, I want you to picture this. You've got two monks. There's an older one, Tanzan, and a younger one, Ikido. They're on this long journey, walking down a muddy road, and it is just pouring rain. So they get to this river, and it's all swollen and raging from the rain. And standing there on the bank is a young woman in a beautiful, expensive silk kimono. And she's just stuck. There's no way she can cross without ruining her clothes in that muddy water. Without even hesitating, the older monk, Tanzan, just walks right over to her, scoops her up in his arms, carries her straight across the river, and gently sets her down on the dry ground. Simple as that. Problem solved. The two monks keep walking. But for the next 5 hours, 5 whole hours, the younger monk, Ikido, is dead silent. You can just feel him fuming, right? Just stewing in his own thoughts, replaying that moment over and over again. Finally, they're nearing their destination, and Ikido just can't hold it in anymore. He explodes at Tanzan. He yells, "We are monks. Our rules forbid us from going near women, especially not a young, beautiful one. Why did you do that? You broke our sacred vows." And Tanzan just looks at him, perfectly calm, and says the line that changes everything. He says, "I put the girl down by the river 5 hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" Let that just sink in for a second. That one question, that's the whole lesson. And it brings us right back to you, my dear Cancer. In your own life, are you the younger monk? Okay, this is where the story really hits home for us. Because just like Ikido, your incredible memory for feelings is a genuine superpower. But in 2026, it can also be your biggest trap. You can become an emotional hoarder, replaying old hurts, old arguments in your mind, and just completely exhausting yourself by carrying these heavy burdens that only exist in your head. But listen, it does not have to be this way. The older monk, Tanzan, he shows us the path forward. Let's call it the Tanzan method. Act and delete. It's a really powerful 3-step process for 2026. Step 1, see the problem right in front of you. Step 2, act on it immediately. Deal with it. And then step 3, and this is the most important one for you, Cancer. Let it go. Delete it. Once the issue is resolved, you have to mentally let it go. Don't let a 5-minute problem ruin a 5-hour journey. So how does this actually apply to the most important parts of your life? Well, let's talk about something that's always close to a Cancer's heart. Your relationships and the absolute poison of holding a silent grudge. The younger monk simmered in silence for hours. Does that sound familiar? When you're hurt, your instinct is to retreat into that protective crab shell. But that silence isn't peace. It's a poison that you're carrying around inside you. For your relationships to truly thrive in 2026, you have to either speak your mind in the moment or learn to forgive and let it go just as quickly. So as we wrap this all up, it really all comes down to one central theme, one big question that's going to define your entire year. And here it is. 2026 is your year to travel light. There is a beautiful, open road ahead of you. But you cannot enjoy the view, you cannot enjoy the journey if your back is breaking from carrying all the dead weight of your past. And that leaves you with one final question to take with you into your year. I want you to take a deep, honest look inside and ask yourself, who or what are you still carrying that you should have put down by the river a long, long time ago?